phone just went dead from the cold. Where's my shelter? This is my breakfast. All right, so my actual air pad from Big Agnes failed last night. So this overnighter was not as successful as I had hoped it would be. But because I was sleeping on the ground in the cold. But this is my shelter. This is a freestanding lean-to. I kind of was inspired to do this by the freestanding duplex from Z-Packs. But I just designed this one myself. I haven't used this shelter in like a year because I cowboy camp in the Ghost Whisperer from Mountain Hardware. And I cowboy camped in the Ghost Whisperer last night anyway because these rocks were too cold. So I moved onto the mud. But for some reason, when I put my actual air pad onto the mud, I laid on it and the thing just deflated. I don't know. It didn't pop on the rocks, but when I put it on the mud, suddenly it popped and I was sleeping on the ground. Anyway, what I found is that I designed this freestanding lean-to myself, and without using it for a year, it was a lot less intuitive than last year. When I designed it and I was really familiar with all the little nuances of it, it was a lot easier to set up. All right, so if you're familiar with Northern California, I just hiked last night. I night hiked with my flashlight from Sausalito to Muir Woods, and I camped here. I brought my shelter because it was raining, and I was sweating on the uphill carrying this thing because it's a little bit of extra kit in my pack. The poles, the bivy hoops, add a little bit of weight to my pack, maybe a half a pound or a pound or something, and but it works, and it works good. I haven't used this shelter in a year because I always cowboy camp in the Ghost Whisperer, the Mountain Hardware Ghost Whisperer sleeping bag. You don't need a shelter if it's not raining if you're using the Ghost Whisperer, and that's what I use, so I never bring my shelter. But last night it was raining, so I brought it. And I haven't used it in a year, and without using it for a whole year, I kind of forgot how to set it up. But I did set it up. The problem was that my axle air pad went flat. And let me tell you, that axle air pad is like a $200 parking ticket. I mean, it's gone flat on me like 4 times. I can't believe it. It's just like a waste of $200. And I tried that Fly Creek tent and I returned it. I bought it from REI and returned it. I'm not a big fan of Big Agnes. But anyway, this shelter, the whole entire thing, plus the bivy hoops, it only cost me $300, which is only a little bit more money than that air pad. And that air pad is going in the trash. I don't know how to even get in touch with them. Basically, what I forgot last night in the dark is that there's an extra line here on the corner. And the big issue with this setup is the bivy hoops have a tendency to tilt in. They tilt this way towards the middle, and they're kind of teetery. And the way that you remedy that is you run a line from the corner to the bivy hoop. And basically, you can see how simple it is. Basically, you want to take 2 bivy hoops and turn them into like a bow and arrow, and then you use little grommets from like Z-Packs, and you put the grommets on top of the bow and arrow. So, like the line of the bow and arrow gets locked in by putting the tarp line on top. You know, you put the tarp line on top of the bow and arrow line. And that's basically it. It's pretty simple. This is like the smallest tarp. If you just look at the tarps that they sell, I think it's 9x4. This is the smallest one. It's kind of like a poncho tarp. And this is kind of like a freestanding poncho tarp setup. I would love it if it actually had a poncho hood in here, because I had to bring an extra poncho. I would have worn this. Yeah, it doesn't have a poncho hood. I would love that, but it doesn't have it. And that's basically it. I mean, you can see it's pretty sturdy. I can just pick it up like this. Okay. Woo! It's like a kite. It's kind of like a kite. Check that out. Okay. I mean, it's pretty bomb-proof. It's pretty foolproof. And you just get underneath there. Last night I found that my actual air pad was a little long. So, you know, if your air pad is long, it is a little bit harder to get in here because you have to slide the air pad on top of these lines and then kind of try to climb under there. And because my air pad pops all the time, I also put a sit pad underneath the air pad. So like I've got a sit pad under the air pad, and the air pad is kind of like on top of those lines, and I'm like trying to get in there. And that did make it like kind of difficult to get in, but if you have a shorter air pad, like a 3 torso air pad, it's actually pretty easy to get in because you can just lift it up like that. Like when you want to get in, you just lift it up like the hood of a car, and then you just drop it on top, and you're good to go. If you want to stake it down, you would stake it down right here. You just put a stake right here and anchor it to the ground if it's windy. This would be like the windward side. So if it's windy, you would want to just have the wind blow on this side, I guess. Because you can stake this down too. You can stake that down like that and have the wind blow on this side. And then the other side is kind of the entrance. Whoop. So you can see how there's more space to get in here. Also, any condensation that takes place inside the lean-to is obviously going to come straight out here. It's just going to flow right out this entrance, right out like that. So it's pretty bone dry in there. And maybe like 2 hours into your sleep, there will be like a pocket of warm air that forms inside of here above your sleeping bag. It makes it kind of warm. But because the shelter is so small, it will cool off. But yeah, that's basically it. This center bivy hoop right here is just like on an umbrella. It just spreads it out. Without this, you can see. Check this out. All right, so you can see that without that center pole, it's just kind of more droopy. It's just more saggy. It's not as tight. You could pull this out with a line, obviously, with a stake, but this is freestanding. There are no stakes. So, you know, that's what this center pole is about, and it's just a little bit shorter. And you can see that it's like almost weighs nothing. It almost doesn't weigh anything.